Hello, everyone.
Hello.
2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go to a youth-based camp. It was Gleanings for the Hungry, and it's mostly about giving back to the people who are unfortunate than us, people living in poverty and things like that. So it's kind of like a dried food factory where they pack it up and give it to people all across the world. And that kind of means something to me because when you're homeless on the streets and someone just gives you something and you never even met them, you feel grateful for what they've done. Like, just imagine someone just giving you a new car with no explanation, and you'll be thankful for it because it's something that you want and that you need. So that reminded me of a story in the Bible about Memphis. I can't pronounce it. I'm gonna butcher it, and so we're gonna call him Seth. So Saul had a son, which was Jonathan, and Jonathan had a son, which was Seth. And so when Saul and Jonathan went out to war, they both died and left Seth, unfortunately, by his own. And so while a nurse or someone helpful was trying to get him back, they fell and they had an accident, and that made him lame for the rest of his life, and he was crippled. Later that year, when King David was king, he summoned Seth, and he invited him to his house. In the 2 Samuel 9:7, he said, "Do not be afraid," David said to him, "for I will surely show you the kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you'll always eat at my table." That basically meant that David is going to take in somebody that he knew who had a more unfortunate life and take him into his life and give him a better one to live. He's going to be guarded, he's going to have food to eat, and things like that. Before that, Jonathan lived in Lodabar, which means the land of nothing. And coming from a land of nothing to coming to a king's castle, do you imagine how that feels? At this point, he probably feels scared or if he did something wrong, but no, it was out of his kindness and his loving grace that he decided to bring him back in. And I feel like Gleanings and the experience that I went through in this story is kind of the same, because you're giving someone a chance at a better life or giving them something that they need. For my closing statement, as Christians, we are called to acknowledge the suffering and the need of other people less fortunate than us, even across borders. People matter to Jesus, not just for vacations, but for inaction. We cannot do what Jesus would do without seeing the way that he saw them. Matthew 9:36 tells us that he looked at the people and had a compassion for them. As we develop hearts of compassion, we need to take loving action. Volunteering for Gleanings is one of the hungry, is a meaningful action that we show that we can care to people all around the world. I am glad for the experience I had and the opportunity to volunteer for Gleanings of the Hungry. Thank you.